3, 2, 1, sync. All right. And
Okay.
now I'm going to press play, and everything after I hit play will be our commentary.
All right.
Boop. So hello, I'm Addy, and with me here is my girlfriend Delvy, and we're playing SNKRX. It's spelled SNKRX. I got the pronunciation from the developer. And this game was gifted by a friend of mine, Tricky Spirit, and you'll see an infographic on the screen that Delvy can't. That's YouTube exclusive content. So, Delvy,
Yes.
you ever played Snake before?
Yes, I played Snake. I actually played Snake on an old Nokia brick, so I have the authentic experience.
Well, this isn't quite like that. It's not right angles, but we do control a snake. This is more of a... So when I was gifted this game, I was a little concerned that maybe my friend didn't understand the kind of games that we would play together, because I was looking for action RPG dungeon crawly games, but that's what this is. It may not look like it, but you have your RPG classes. It's all about the stats. It's definitely an action RPG. It's also a roguelike. And there's a lot of complicated mechanics involving the levels of the heroes. Like, if you get 3 of one type of hero, they level up, and they get special attributes when they level up to 3. I'm trying to figure out how to rearrange them in my party. It took a moment. But where you put them on the party determines where they are on the snake. So, like, for example, the guy in front, our healer, is easy to keep away from damage because we steer him.
And so,
And all of the... No, go ahead.
so is that like a spell you're using with the AoE cube?
That's our warrior. That's the melee attack. All of the characters attack differently. The healer doesn't attack, but it does heal our units whenever they're below 50% health, and we can increase the efficiency of the healing and such with pickups or through leveling up the healer by stacking him with other units. And the goal is to complete 25 floors. It's a bit of a weird game. I definitely say it's an action RPG because of the clear RPG mechanics. Oh, there we go. We leveled up our swordsman. Now he's level 2. You get gold when you complete each mission. You gain interest on the gold for up to 5 times. But after that, you don't gain any more interest. There's a lot of mechanics at play.
It definitely... It does have an interesting look. So what are the green ones that just popped up?
They can aggro if when one of them appears. Yeah, when you attack them, they can aggro other enemies and turn them green, and they'll all rush at you faster than you can escape from them.
So,
to my understanding, that's how it works.
So is the warrior auto attacking?
Yeah, all of your units auto attack, except for ones that you run into the enemies, of course. And after a certain number of levels, we get to choose a buff, a permanent buff to carry with us.
And then after each floor, you get to like rearrange your party and stuff.
You get to rearrange your party. You get to purchase new units. You get to level up your units, obviously, because you can also sell your units. You can only have 7 units on the snake at a time. This was my first run. It was more of a test run to figure out how the mechanics work. I get a better one after this, but it's quite a unique game. I haven't really seen a concept like this before.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that was bad. There's nothing stopping you from restarting a run over and over until you roll a healer. And I do want a healer. The ability to regain health after you're 50% dead is just very beneficial.
Yeah. So how do you? I'm guessing you have to like level up to get more than 2 members in the snake?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Now
you mean
now
more
you have
than
3.
two? Yeah, I have 3 units. I was just trying to save up gold, but I was being a little too stingy. I definitely should have bought more units sooner.
So looks like the blue one has a projectile attack.
Yeah, the blue one's a sorcerer or mage. I can't remember which class it was, but it has an AoE projectile. It shoots a projectile that lands and then deals damage in an area around it. I definitely prefer other projectile classes to that one, but it's not bad or anything. So Delvey,
Yes?
in general, have you played many roguelikes?
Not roguelikes specifically. I own several, I just haven't gotten around to playing them.
Is there any in particular you have played?
Well, does Pokemon Mystery Dungeon count?
I mean, it's missing the component where you start over, but I would say it's got a lot of the critical pieces, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you play the first one, or?
I played the first one on the GBA, and I have played several online roguelikes, like on those, you know, Java or Flash websites from the early 2000s. I don't remember the names of any of them, though.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing, so... we're fighting the boss and losing terribly right now. The Elite, I guess, is what the boss is called. The big red guy.
Yeah.
He summons a bunch of minions. The fight doesn't end until we destroy him. But he's going to destroy us. We are going to lose terribly. I feel like society must have done a real number on me that I'm gendering these red pills. Like I'm gendering these blobs on the screen. All right, that run was no good. Let's try again. We definitely want a healer. So, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. When did you last play that?
I think in 2010.
You ever see the remake?
I did. Oh, I did play the demo of the remake.
How did you feel about it?
It played about the same. I liked the graphical update. It looked pretty good. Sort of kept the same kind of art style, but translated it into 3D pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I really like the storybook look. The music, it sounds pretty similar. I'm pretty sure they even use the same instruments, but it's noticeably remastered, like they used higher quality samples, and that's great. I like that kind of remastering, when the music sounds nearly identical, but you can tell they used higher quality samples than before.
So what's the white one that's shooting at you?
He stands in place, basically a turret, and shoots 3 bullets in a straight line, and we want to ideally be far away from it when to dodge its bullets. The closer we are, obviously, the greater chance it has of actually hitting us. The rogue, which is the red fellow on our team, fires a dagger that bounces between enemies. That's probably my favorite projectile. The healer and the rogue are going to be best buddies throughout this playthrough.
You know, if I was a biology teacher, it would be so fun to troll my students by like taking footage of this game and putting a filter over it to make it look like a microscope.
Oh no, that would be awful. You can't do that to impressionable children, Delphi. goodness. It's a good thing neither of us are teachers. I think, see, like, I'm not, so the green one, you attack it and it then I think infects other enemies with its greenness and they rush at you faster than you can possibly react. And I think that's how it works. Maybe they're like a zombie or something.
It's like those pus zombies or something.
Yeah, no, see, I killed it, and it infected everything around it. So I guess that's how it works. I wasn't entirely sure. We do want 20% healing effectiveness, of course. That would be ideal. There we go. That a level 2 healer and a level 2 rogue are really good this early. So... So, do you remember much about the original Mystery Dungeon?
Sort of. I remember, you got the quest to find a particular Pokemon on a floor of a dungeon, and you had to go through them. And I remember, you usually had like one or two other Pokemon that would follow you around, and I do remember there was a hunger meter, so you had to remember to buy enough food to bring with you.
Not necessarily. Wait, yeah, I think maybe it was a meter in the original, but yeah, that's how the game works. Do you remember anything about the story, though?
Yeah, I remember you're a kid who turns into a Pokemon and wakes up in a Pokemon. In a world of only Pokemon, and I remember I read the manga that came with Nintendo Power, and it had something to do with like a kid who killed a Ninetales or something and got turned into a Dengar or something.
Oh, so I mean, did you finish the game?
I didn't finish the game. I played a couple floors, but there was a Mystery Dungeon manga that came with Nintendo Power, and
I remember that.
I think it like was an adaptation of the plot, or at least similar.
It is, but it's missing quite a bit. Anyway, we have a new class, the Cryomancer. It that blue circle, if an enemy's inside that blue circle, it takes 18 damage per second. Which is pretty nice. The Cryomancer's going to die a lot, though. Because it's level 1, and it's, like, just sort of hanging out by itself. Sometime I should probably play the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, or more likely its remake for you, because the story is really quite something, and... The manga doesn't necessarily do it justice. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was the very first game to make me cry, which is why I was interested in you bringing it up.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll. I think I still have the game sitting around somewhere. I might have to give it another look. Or now the remake on the Switch. That combines the first two, doesn't it?
No, it's well, that depends what you mean. It's the first game.
Well, yeah, but it's Pokemon, so there were like two versions of it, right?
Yeah, no, it has the content from both, but it's the remake is definitely the ideal way to play it. It does the presentation a lot more justice. It's just a lot more pleasant to play. There's a lot of new quality of life features. Most of the dialogue is identical. All of the important stuff is, but Nintendo changed some things I really wish they hadn't. Probably as part of their push to be endlessly child-friendly and never do anything offensive or particularly edgy or interesting. But all the important dialogue is intact. So that would be the ideal way to play it. we're in a bad spot.
Yeah. Looks like you're fighting another boss.
Yeah, and it's just our healer left. And you might think we're kind of screwed, but since we can self-heal, if we're very careful, we can just ram our face into the boss and win. And we just got to kill these last mobs. So the healer can't really attack by itself, but since it can heal, we can use it to bash our face into enemies and damage them. So a run's really perfectly savable unless we lose the healer. When we lose the healer, then we're in big trouble. But even in this situation where it seems bad, we're going to be fine because the healer can take care of themselves.
Hey, you know what series should get the Mystery Dungeon treatment?
I'm listening.
Pikmin.
I've only played the first Pikmin, but I know the second one has dungeons in it.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of figure, like, you know, a dungeon crawler would have made more sense for a Pikmin spin-off than a platformer did.
There was a Pikmin platformer?
Yeah, I think it was called Hey Pikmin, and I'm pretty sure nobody played it because I saw like one trailer for it and then never heard about it ever again.
I did not know that there was a Pikmin platformer. I'm definitely going to have to look at that after this is over.
Yeah, it was on the 3DS, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a look. It being on the 3DS is a little bit of a bummer because I don't really play portable games, but it's still worth looking into, I think, because that just sounds extremely interesting. I wonder why they chose that as the spin-off genre.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially since with Pikmin 2, there's already a precedent for dungeon crawling in the series, so you're right that dungeon crawling would have made much more sense. So mostly, when we talk about, or I see you playing video game RPGs on Discord or otherwise, it's usually like action RPGs. Mm-hmm. You play many turn-based RPGs?
Yeah, I've played lots of turn-based RPGs, and I do probably enjoy them more than action RPGs. It's just that I've usually found that, you know, stuff like Torchlight makes for better, like, chill out and relax games. Like, you don't really chill out playing Fallout 2. But yeah, I really love those the old isometric RPGs like Fallout and Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, and I sort of fell out of love with JRPGs for a while, but I kind of want to jump back into that genre too. I got a little what?
Go ahead, hun. Continue your thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say I got a little. I played a couple JRPGs in the mid 2010s that kind of burnt me out. But
what were those?
I'm trying to remember. I think one of them was Radiant Historia, which isn't a bad game by any means, but it can be a little irritating at times, and I remember playing a couple Tales of games. And,
which ones?
I played Vesperia, the 3DS remake of Abyss, and also Berseria, and my opinion on the Tales series is a little weird, because like I know, you know, people love it, but for some reason, I've never been able to get into any Tales game since Symphonia. And I don't know if Symphonia is just that good that all the others seem meh by comparison, or if it's just my nostalgia because Symphonia was my first Tales game and I played it on the GameCube, so maybe it's nostalgia, I don't know, but I've just had trouble getting into any of them. But
Symphonia. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Arise looks pretty cool. Definitely gonna give that one a look.
I haven't seen much of Arise. Symphonia was also my first Tales game. I don't really, like, nostalgia died in me somewhere. Like, it's a very distinctive feeling, nostalgia, but I just don't feel it anymore. So, like, maybe my opinion would be different if I did have a fondness for the game. But I actually think Tales of Symphonia is probably my least favorite in the series, because the thing I value most in stories is the characters. That's the 100% most important thing to me in basically any narrative. And the characters they behave so dumb in the original Tales of Symphonia in ways that directly contradict their own established convictions and goals for the sake of moving the plot forward. Like the scene where Colette's getting sacrificed. You figure Lloyd would be, like, kind of ready to attack Ramil as soon as he learns about that, but he just stands there and lets it happen, because if he doesn't let it happen, the plot won't move forward, and then after it happens, he gets mad and attacks Ramil. Things like that happen all the time in Tales of Symphonia, and it drives me crazy, because I can't believe the characters anymore. Sorry, that was...
I actually don't remember that scene. I guess it's been too long since I played it.
It stuck out to me because, like, it just contradicts everything about Lloyd's character. Like, his headstrong, irrational, go-get-him emotional nature and his protectiveness of Colette. He just completely forgot about it for a couple seconds. So that way a huge plot development could happen, I suppose. But that was a bit of a tangent. Do you have a favorite JRPG that you've played?
Well, technically it would be Chrono Trigger, but I want to be a little bit more original than that.
You don't have to lie about your favorite JRPG.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll be basic and say Chrono Trigger is my favorite. But I also oh, damn it.
You alright, hon?
Yeah, sorry, my phone was going off. Yeah, I'd say Chrono Trigger is my favorite. I also like Final Fantasy, obviously. I'd say 6, 7, 9, and 12 are probably my favorites. I liked Tactics too, and Fire Emblem, but I think those are
yeah, I think most people would call those strategy RPGs or tactical RPGs.
Trying to think of some others. Well, it's technically not turn-based, but I loved the first Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah. And...
yeah, I definitely don't think it's turn-based, though.
Yeah. For other turn-based RPGs, I'm trying to remember. I used to play a ton of JRPGs, and I'm trying to remember all of them. Oh, what was that one called? Oh, Golden Sun. I enjoyed the Golden Sun games. Not so much the third one, but the first two were good.
I've heard the third one is very divisive.
Yeah, it's not bad, but so you know how the first two Golden Suns, like the entire plot is basically just a giant detour? Like it'll start out with the party having a mission but then like one thing after another just ends up delaying them farther and farther from that initial goal.
Yep.
Well, that's basically what the third one is, except it's to an even greater extreme, and unlike the first two, it never actually gets resolved, and it ends on a cliffhanger.
Oh,
so
it doesn't end?
Yeah, it doesn't end. I mean, it sort of ends like there is a plot that, or I should say a plot arc that is completed, and you do fight and defeat, a final boss, but the arc that gets completed doesn't really have anything to do with the story that began at the start of the game.
Oh, that doesn't sound optimal. That sounds less than ideal.
It's basically the third one. It sort of felt like I don't know if you have much experience with like D&D or tabletop RPGs, but it sort of feels like a tabletop RPG camp. Whoa, getting a little hectic. It felt like a tabletop campaign that went wildly off the rails, and at some point the dungeon master just had to come up with an ending because nobody really wanted to play anymore.
I'm sure other people who've played the third game appreciate the analogy. It sounds clever. So like you ever play Quest 64?
I played a little of it years ago. I've never played it all the way through. I have watched playthroughs of it though.
I've played it all the way through once. It turns out that melee is the meta. It turns out spells not as important as hitting things with Brian's stick. Hitting things with the stick is the meta. You wouldn't think it, given he's a mage, and the whole thing is about being a mage, but that's how it works. So, I remember you talking about the Dungeons and Dragons games a bit before on one of our dates. Is there one of those that you really, really like?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Planescape Torment, obviously, that's one where the reputation precedes it. Although, to be fair, the combat in that game kind of sucks. But
I still look forward to playing Planescape Torment sometime.
Yeah. It's kind of a game where, I mean, ironically enough, I'd say it actually probably suffers from being a D&D game, because I think it would have been better if it had like a combat system that was more conducive to it. Because really, Planescape Torment feels more like a point-and-click adventure game. And so I think a combat system, and like some of your characters are odd. Like it uses D&D combat, but it in a weird fashion. Like, you don't really get many weapons and armor. Most of your gear comes from like tattoos and consumable items and stuff. So I think it probably would have been better if it had a custom combat system. Or maybe it wouldn't have, because like I haven't played it yet, but from what I've heard, Tides of Numenera, which was supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, has a bad combat system. So I don't know, maybe using D&D combat was the right option.
I love hearing you talk about nerdy stuff like this. Like it's just really pleasant hearing you dissect combat mechanics.
Oh,
such a dork.
I also played Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. I never finished either of them, but what I did play, I did enjoy.
What about Dark Alliance?
I played the Game Boy version of Dark Alliance, which I'm sure
I did not even know that was a thing.
Yeah, there was a GBA version of Dark Alliance, and it wasn't bad, like all things considered. It was, I would say, it was the good kind of mediocre. Like, you know, it's not like if you know that's like the only version of the game you got, you know, it's decent. Like if you're a kid and you didn't have, you know, if you couldn't get the console version or you couldn't play Fate or Diablo, then it's a decent little dungeon crawler. But I'm sure the console version is better.
I haven't played Dark Alliance, but I have played Champions of Norath, which, as I understand it, is pretty similar.
Yeah, they're basically the same game.
I played Champions of Norath with a multi-tap, because that used to be how you played 4-player games on a PlayStation, is you bought a tiny accessory to plug all your controllers into.
Yeah, I've heard of multi-taps. It always struck me as kind of weird that the PS2 only had 2 controller ports.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just give you more controller ports.
I know, because like by that point, I mean, I can understand why the PS1 only had 2 controller ports, because that was the norm at the time. But then after that, the N64 had 4 controller ports, the Dreamcast had 4 controller ports, and the Xbox had 4 controller ports, so it's kind of weird that the PS2 only had 2.
This is where we die, by the way. I lost the healer on wave 2, so that there's just no there's no save in this one. But it's been lovely making this experience with you, and playing SNKRX.
You're almost there.
I beat wave 3, but we have so many more, Delvey. I don't think I'm living through this one.
Never give up. Never surrender.
I don't think that Galaxy Quest is. I don't think it's the time for Galaxy Quest references, Delvey.
It's always the time for Galaxy Quest references.
All right, thank you.